My name is Morungwa Nerufule. So I'm going to be your tutor for BLG1502 tutorials. And just like Ms. Prim said, the purpose of these tutorials are basically for you. We are here to serve you. We are here to help you. And at all material times, if you need an assistant throughout the period of this tutorial, you are most welcome to stop me. Just unmute yourself and ask a question or clarity if you need more clarity or if you want to add something. And also those ones which I don't recommend, those ones who do not prefer to talk, but I would prefer for you to just talk. You are welcome to use a comment chat box. Then Miss Prim will read out your comment and or your question by any means. So the point here is just to let you know that this is to make things easier for you. This is we are here to help you in as much as we are being helped ourselves. So I just want to make a brief introduction about myself. Morongwa, I do have qualifications, and my first qualification, I did my first undergrad degree for BSc Botany and Zoology at the University of Venda. I also did my honors in zoology at the same university. I was major in my honors. I was majoring in my in zoology, although we also had some modules like molecular biology, invertebrates, animal ecophysiology, limnology, which is just another fancy terminology to describe the study of water. So it's modeling as a model for water. I also did my master's at the same university, although I was doing basically ecology and a little bit of statistics and mathematics, but I was registered in the Department of Zoology, where I was doing a research about the importance of water in relation to the proximity to insectivorous bats, and with the case study in the Limpopo Valley of South Africa, the case study areas were Mapungubia National Park and Venetia Nature Reserve. So we did a little bit of a research in that sense, where we were checking the impacts that water has on the insectivorous birds, which are mammals, and also other related animals which might be influenced by their presence. So currently, I am registered. I'm like you guys. We are all the struggle of studying is on. So I'm like you guys. I'm registered. This is my second year. Yeah, this is my second year with my PhD I'm registered in the Department of Genetics and Bioinformatics, but it's a partnership with the Agricultural Research Council here in Pretoria at BTP, but the host university is University of KwaZulu-Natal. So it's more or less like what most of you are doing is a distance learning. I'm registered with University of KwaZulu-Natal, hence I just go there here and there for presentations and symposium and all those colloquiums. But basically, I am based on here in Pretoria at on Sport in for with us, where there's a lot technological advances where I report to, if you want to say it like that. So my lab work and everything, that's what I do. So that's basically it about me. So this is what they call a tutorial a letter, just an overview of what we're going to be doing and what you should familiarize yourself with. And I'm given to understand that you also have this in your study materials. And if you do not have it, please make sure that you have it, because it will also help you as a guideline as to where we are going. And I like about this because there is also some a bit of assignments here and there where we're gonna be helping one another. Starting from next week, we're gonna be going throughout the assignment and some case studies and some those which I don't know how to put it, but some exercises. Yeah, that's the correct term, where we're gonna be helping each other. So this is just an information that is letting you that this, as part of tutorial letter, we wish to inform you that UNISA has implemented transformation chapter based on pillars of 8 dimension in response to charter and also to place curriculum for the agenda. So this is the idea of how the module is structured as, but what I'm looking for is this here, where it stays all cases of online engagement. We will use the platform of my UNICEF platform on our virtual campuses and do things. I'm sure you have been aware of that. And for assignment one, these are the instructions that I think you should be able to I don't know how far you are with those ones, but you should be able to check them and also be up to date and be in the look so that you don't slack behind, and question will be written and submitted online on a specific date. You should be able to to be in line with those and catch up with those. So that also goes to assignment number 2, which will be uploaded and submitted online on due date. I know a lot of, like last year, we a lot of your colleagues or your fellow students on these days where the deadlines are approaching, they will be telling, oh, you want to have, there's a problem with the glitches, the system, I cannot upload and all of that and something like that. So the best advice is that try to get your assignments and everything at least ready so that you can upload them before a day before the deadline, or if you are a good student, which I know that you are, a few days or 3 days before, so that you don't have these administrative problems which might cause you to embark on some unnecessary problems. So the purpose of this module is to make sure that you students have the idea of the principle of plant and animal diversity, not biodiversity, diversity, because diversity is a combination of the structure of a whole relationship or all the ecosystems which are within the environment. So this will enhance your knowledge and understanding to gain more insight in plant and animal diversity, which in turn of the evolution both parasites and eukaryotes, and structural adaptation for various function and mechanisms. So both vertebrates and invertebrates that ensure survival of organisms. So those who attended BLG 1501 will have a bit of understanding about what we are talking about. So I'm not going to go through the outcomes of what they expect from you, but this is the things that we're going to go through as we go forward. And more importantly, these are your lecturers' contacts and everything. Please familiarize yourself with this and don't be a stranger to them. Be a nuisance to them if you need something. Don't tell them that I told you that, but be a student who, even to myself, if you need an assistant, I already saw some question to some others who are on the chat box who are asking certain questions. Go and ask and don't wait for until you are lost, but rather ask the question as early as now. So that's basically it, and this is the most important thing. It's just that I had it for my last year notes, but now I cannot find it. I had an ebook, the prescribed links for study materials and study book, and for this particular model, I think the book by Campbell, which is 2015 biology. I forgot the terminology of the book, but it's very, very important. That book is the one that the notes of this course, most of them are extracted from it. So if you could have an access to it via your UNISA, they have the means and the links where you can be able to download that book and have it in the online. You don't necessarily have to buy it, but if you can, that will help you a lot. But all of these are study materials that you should be be able to familiarize yourself with this system so that you could be able to go just like that and be able to go and get what you're looking for. So I will advise you that for the next coming days, just give yourself time, maybe just to download and have a folder for all the notes I also have some notes even online. You don't even, sometimes you don't even need to be on the exact website of of our university, but there are some people, there are some folks who have uploaded things online, previous students who attended this. I've seen a lot of material for 2018, 2008, and all that, previous question papers and all of those. So if you want to do yourself a good favor, just have a folder, where it's a folder for questions, past question papers. And the good thing is that those past question papers, they also post and upload even the memorandum. So although some of the websites, they need you to register all your details and other stuff, but there are others who is accessible for everyone, where you can just download them online. We need to utilize that, and then you'll be able to have the folders for past question papers and their memorandums. If you can just code them and equate them, that shouldn't take you more than a week. From Monday to Friday, if you just tell yourself that I'm gonna be just downloading past question paper and put them in the folders where there's a past question papers for past assignment and past exercises, you will see that you will find a lot of valuable information, and also the memorandum. And also create another folder for these ebooks where you can have a PDF, and then if your finances are well good, you can find somewhere where they can print for you, although it's not allowed, but if you can be able to access the PDF for this, you can be able to help yourself. So this is very important about the study materials, because this is what your lecturer or your examiner will basically be playing around here to examine you and to assess you, and to frequently ask you the question from the assignment. So make use of the library services information and all of this, so that you can be able to, if you are stuck with some email glitch, or if you want to access a certain a resource online, particularly using our university, you can just hit these people up with an email. They trust me, they come back. Maybe they won't come back instantly, but within a day, or even less than a day, few hours, they will return back to you and give you a link to retrieve your email, or to set up your email, or to set up your profile. We should be able to be up and running. And I'm gonna be glad if some of the things that I'm saying, you have already done that. And also there is a page on Facebook where there are other students who will help you with past experience or past things, because sometimes an instruction could be as black and white, like it's written here, but you find that some other people cannot follow up those ones. So there are people who will be able to assist with that. So if you've got any question, you can be able to ask now. But I'm gonna start with this. I just want to give a brief that are terminology. There is a slide that I'm gonna do for some terminology, which is not gonna fill. I'm gonna spend less than 20 minutes on it. Then after that, we're gonna go to the first chapter, where we're just gonna be briefing the terminologies, the introductory. Then from next week, that's when we will be dealing with particularly being descriptive and direct, with also tackling the past, with tackling also the assignment and the exercises that we're gonna be doing. So any question up to so far? You should also familiarize yourself with how the examiner examine you, so that what constitutes the percentage assessment plan, how they assess you, which of your assignment is more important, how much is the exam count, and all of that. But I believe that everything that you're gonna will be thrown at you is as important as this tutorial. So you should take everything seriously and give it all your best when you take a shot. So everything will be good as they come. So we're just gonna be introducing to the study of biology. I know this is thank you guys. I know I can see that you can see the screen. So this animal and plant diversity. So the diversity obviously is the combination of the community and the structure of the environment. So this is going to be the combination of both the plant species and animal species and animal community, and the combination of the ecosystem all brought together. But in basic biology, we need to start from the bottom. So these are the terminologies that are just like a hierarchy to show you how what is what and what is what. So biology is the meaning of is the study. So it's the study of living organism. So this biology or the science of life is the living organism is called biology, but it is divided into several specific fields that cover morphology, physiology, anatomy, behavior, origin, and distribution. So if somebody could just be asking you about the generality of diversity. So this diversity is the combination of these things. Morphology is the appearance, how this appearance of the person. We're talking about color, we're talking about the appearance. Physiology, we're talking about the movement. Anatomy, we're talking about the inside of that organism, where we're going to be talking anatomy, where we're going to be talking about cells and nucleus, and maybe leveling it down to the genomic structure of that particular organism. Behavior is it self-explains itself, how they behave, how the animal behave, or how the plants behave, how they behave in terms of if they come across some situation or they come across some instances, how do they behave in response to migrations, in response to certain environmental conditions, in respect to certain season, like some species who are vertebrates during some season like winter, they go on torpor, they go on they hibernate. There are different terms that we also gonna delve into. Some plants during some seasons, some browsing plants, and all of those, the behavior tend to change, and their origin, we're talking about evolution, how this animals originated, which species originated from the population structure, the classification of the structure, and the distribution. We're talking about migration, we're talking about the reason why people who are here live here, the reason why species which are here, the reason why certain plant species are found in certain provinces, but you don't find them in certain provinces. The reason why, if you are driving on N3 or N4 to Mpumalanga or to KZN, when you are driving to certain point, you see different types of trees, but when you move certain distance, you don't see those trees there and there. That kind of distribution, how is that? An organism is a living entity containing one cell. For example, bacteria, we're going to go through that. An organism is a living entity containing of several containing of several cells. For example, animals, plants, and their fungi. So what is life? So life is the form from various chemical combination like carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, sulfur, and phosphorus. And this form the nucleic acid proteins, which are acids, carbohydrates, and liquids that are fundamental components of living matters. So the characteristics of life is that these are things that you know. These are things that are basically known by people. It's just that we tend to have to use some terminology if we are talking biologically, is that living organisms are responses to the environment, the nerve pulse, they grow and they change their body size and shape. We're talking about cell division. They have the ability to reproduce and increase their population reproduction. They perform function and metabolism and respiration. They have ability to maintain their homeostasis, excretion, and absorption. So homeostasis is, you should check the definition of what homeostasis is. I'll see him somewhere in your exercises. So that is the process where you maintain the ability of maintaining your homeostasis. They are made of cells. Their traits pass from offspring. So if you have your wife and your parents have the traits that they both passed to you as their offspring. So biology has many branches. I'm not going to focus much on this one. Some of the biology is botany, which is the study of plants and their features. So this model is animal and plant biodiversity. So the people who might be your lecturers or your researchers or anything will be the combination of these people who study exclusively plants, who know about plants, who know about their features, who know about their distribution, who know about how their species work, especially in terms of plants, about their classification is another big field where it has to be focused on. Zoology, a study of animals and their feature. Microbiology, I know most of you are studying microbiology, the study of microorganisms and their features. Taxonomy is the science of identification. This is one of the biggest. So taxonomy can fall under all this, can fall under botany and zoology and all that. So you can have a taxonomist who's dealing with plants. You can have a taxonomist who's dealing with zoology. You can have a taxonomist who's dealing with microbiology, because the essence of identification, you have to identify individuals and you have to classify those, and you're going to classify them in population level, in organism level, in distribution level. So it's quite a broad discipline as well, or branch for what they put in here. And also morphology is the study of external form, size, shape, color, structure, and relative to position. So when they talk about morphology, if they're talking about morphology, morphology is the term which is describing the outward appearance, what you can see with your eyes. The size, is it big? Is it the shape? Describe the shape of that individual organism. Describe the shape of that organelle. The color, you need to color the structure, the how is the shape of the structure, or how is the structure, the position to the. So anatomy is the study of the internal structure. So you're going to be studying the internality of that individual organism. Histology, which you don't have to worry about much, is the study of tissue organization and structure. Cytology is the study form of the structure of cell, which is containing the behavior of nucleus and other organelles. Cell biology. Cell biology is a combination of the study of morphological organization and biochemical, physiological, genetics and developmental, and pathological and evolutionary features of a cell and its components. That's what you find in cell biology. Then molecular biology is the study of the nature of a physiochemical organization of the synthesis which are working and interaction with other biomolecule. Physiology, that's when we are talking about the study of different types of body functions, how the physiology of the individual and the procedures. We're going to be talking about the function of what? The function of certain organelle, the function of nucleus, the function of what and what not. Embryology. Embryology, we're talking about the development of an organism at a very, very early age, with the study of fertilization, growth, division, distinction, and of that zygote into embryo. And ecology is what most of you gonna come across through. It's also a broad discipline, or a broad branch, which is the study of the living organism with relative to other organism and their environment. So when you're studying about ecology, if you want to do an ecology of a certain species, which many people do, is that you don't only focus on its structure only. You have to focus also on its response to other organisms and how does it respond to the environment. Then we go for genetics. Genetics is the study of inheritance and characteristic and heredity of various of variations. Evolution is the study of origin of life, as well as new types of organism from the previous ones. Modification, and you know that evolution explains a lot. It's a topic which is so. I was in the evolution, which practically usually explain mostly the it's it's a discipline on its own. Usually there's going to be a chapter about the evolution and all that. But from here, out of these 17 terminologies, I'm sure across the assignments or exercises, you will come across one that you will be able to have to to explain if they bring the question in an answer in a one word format, or they give you a question which says define with a terminology where you're gonna have to define. Sometimes they will give you a multiple choice questions where you're gonna have to choose one of the terms there and there, and so you need to when we send this, you need to familiarize yourself with these terminologies, because mostly your examiner, I don't think he or she will definitely ask deeper question, but the question that will be extracted from all of these notes is the description, describe, explain why, explain, which are here in a letter form or in a very exclusive manner. Plant diversity. So I just want to give you some few notes here of terminologies we're going to explain, which are also going to be helpful. I saw a lot of things here, which are also available in your exercises and all that. So all plants and and some protists are the altering between the diploid and haploid generation. So the alteration, if you can just see here for the diploid, and please again, if you have any question or you don't understand, just show by the the indication, then I will preview the. So alteration of generations are divided into diploid generation and haploid generation, where you see, for example, this is just a pure example for mature sporophyte, and here is a prothallus of a gametophyte, and where there's a process of meiosis, where there's a process of mitosis. You can see the distribution in this little structure here, where you see here the mitosis, there's the process of spore, there's a process of fertilization, where this cycle alteration in the fern, this is the structure of they will ask you there for the cycle of ferns and all of that, but don't worry, it will make sense as we go forward. So all plants and some protists, that's an altercation between a haploid and diploid generation. So they could want you to describe with in the means of diagram the differentiation between diploid and haploid generation of the ferns, where you're gonna have to see the arrangement of the sporophytes and the sporangium, and how this cycle goes from prothallus for the gametophytes and the female gametes. How did these and the female gametes go and fertilize and move to other procedure? So plants and some protists that are multicellular diploid, this is just a formation of the indication of the formula, where for mitosis it will go, and the unicellular in the mitosis rather, with the diploid zygote, and meiosis there in the two, and where it's fall as unicellular. And so if they wanna they just wanna differentiate, sometimes they can extract the question for differentiation between mitosis and meiosis, where you're going to have to show with this in the formation of the plants there, where you have to show that some they are unicellular haploid cells, some are unicellular diploid cells. For the benefit of extracting all the marks, you need to also show with the indication of the formula that N is haploid, 2N is diploid zygote. And for the spores there, where you can see, and then you can see that there could be a multicellular haploid organism, where the process is turns now to mitosis, and then when you go, is translating to the unicellular haploid, where it's and the through mitosis. This is the transportation method. Then there's a fertilization, and then you're gonna find this fellow here for spirophyte, and then you're gonna go, and then it will make a gametophyte here on the unicellular for for this haploid organism, and that's when you have your plant and the cellular on the structure of the cycle, which you need to follow. So plant groups, the bryophytes. So bryophytes are those seedless, non-vascular liver moth, moses, horns, and usually I'm sure half of you guys, all of you have bryophytes in your houses, but you're not aware that you have. Usually they in behind the what do you call it, the sink, the outdoor sink, or somewhere where there's a canopy where the water, you throw a lot of water, they form a mat like in the wall, at the edges of the wall, at the bottom of the wall, in your wall. If you just go and check it, there's what we call bryophytes. So when you go later in your studies, when you attend the, I think it's Bio 16, where you do in practicals, you will have you can go and have an assignment for collecting bryophytes. We're gonna have to go with a small spade, and you don't even need a spade, but just a thing like a spoon, hand spade, like a hand spade, where you can take it and then you come and wash it and then you view on the microscope. So they are very literature that I don't have the pictures here, but I'm sure on the next slides will show you the scriptures also, the pictures also showing the what bryophytes are like. They are seedless, they're non-vascular, seedless vascular plants, which are lycophytes, club Moses, spikes, Moses, and Quillworth, and the Petrophytes, which are ferns and other, but mostly you gonna be focusing mostly on the ferns here, on the Petrophytes, and mostly here you're gonna be focusing on the Moses. And gymnosperms, which are cone bearing plants, which have naked seeds, and then there are angiosperms, which are flowering plants. Then the transition to land is that the common ancestor aquatic green algae. This is just an evolution. The evidence is that there is a cellulose wall and some chloroplasts. And the benefits to living of the lands is that quite for plants is that there's a lot of carbon dioxide. Few early herbivores, they have access to light. But challenges is that also you can dry out if you don't have the good seeds and everything. You're losing water, and also the procedure of gravity, and also there's a procedure of adaptation for in terms of the leaves, the cuticle, where the covering of the crop prevents the water loss. It's also clear why, because the pores will interrupt the cuticle and often found underneath the seed. Also, why would that be the case? Then here's the picture which I was talking about, bryophytes. And this is just a humor there, and mostly these bryophytes you find in damp, moist area on land, and usually you will find them that how do they reproduce, or how do they get more and more of those, is that the sperm will swim through the water to reach the egg of that gametophyte. It's the same procedure that we were explaining there in that graphic representation. Is the other study, the picture of a bryophyte with a showing of a sporophyte. So in terms of vascular tissues, that they evolve to help the plants to grow taller. They can push the leaf up to compete for sunlight. You know that the biggest competitive factor that the plants need, they need a sunlight. They need sun. They need sunlight for growth. They need the sun so that they could develop, and the developmental stage could be intact. So water travel up through what we call xylem, and sugar travel through what we call phloem. So you're gonna have to differentiate this. Sometimes if they are requesting you to differentiate between the phloem and then xylem, then you're gonna have to describe how these are the channels for what? How this the other one is a channel for water, and the other one is a channel for the glucose or the sugar and all that for the plant. Then here is the fence. I'm sure all of you know this one also. The fence seedless vascular plants, which are found mostly in very area which is in wetlands, which is which is very moist. They are most of them are forests of fence which are which fall under Plazazoic and became modern coal beds in the lot of carbon fixation and all of that. So these plants and their characteristics on land is that they must still be in areas which are moist. Their sporophyte tissue survive in fine vascular tissue, but the sperm must still swim to egg in tiny gametes. But the clear instruction here, or the clear most important factor, is that they must be in moist areas. Then this is another cycle, or the life cycle of the Fern for gametophyte, where you're gonna be. I saw there was a question that I still remember in the last year when we were doing some exercises and past assignment. They were talking about the antheridia and some of the anchigonia. Forgive my pronunciation, archigonia and the antheridia, what the differentiate. I've said this on the BLG1501 that if the examiner brings a question and he or she is asking you to answer a question by means of showing a diagram, you don't have to worry about your artistic move. All that you need to worry about is just to make sure that it's visible enough and it's labeled enough, and it's visible enough and it's fully labeled, because that's where it's the marks are. So this is the life cycle of a fern, where it's showing how it starts, the sporangia, spores, and the gametes, and the bisexual gametophyte, anchigonium, and the ovum, where it's going to show, and the sporophyte growing, the rhizome, the roots, this way it the leaves, and the sorus, how all of this. So you're gonna still be able to throw in some question where they're gonna be asking for 15 marks or 10 marks sometimes, or 8 marks, or depending on how the examiner is want you to be lucky. So you're gonna have to explain this in details, but as time goes on, we'll show each other also into the realistic one, because you will see this and feel like, oh boy, will I be able to produce a graphic representation which is like this? No need to worry about the fanciness of this diagram. What you need to worry about is to make sure that if they ask about the life cycle, you need to show where the sporangium is, how the spores of the germinates, how the bisexual gametophyte, the antheridium, how the new sporophyte form, how the petiole is structured, how are the rhizome transferred, and how is the sporophyte growing, the ovum and the antheridium. Those are one of the, and the spores, those are in the sporangium. How is it formed? How that movement occurs. Those are the things. Even if you can just put the words and just show with an arrow, that is still enough to show that you are describing a life cycle. So the most important thing is to have the correct labeling rather than the structure. But if they say in a form of representation of a diagram, you need to have to show a diagram, but it does not necessarily mean that it has to be fancy. But it, of course, if they say by means of diagram, if you explain the whole thing, they might subtract a mark or two just to say you didn't put a diagram, you didn't hear the instruction. And another part of approaching a question either at an exam or at an assignment, is that you need to be very thorough with sensing and listening to the instruction that the examiner is requiring from you. So the seeds and the pollen grains, where there will be gymnosperms and angiosperms, where the seeds, protective covering and food source in that for diploid cycles, particularly on the sporophyte embryo, and the seeds which permit them the dormancy period, waiting for the successful condition so that they could grow. There's another question also where they also okay, where they, it's not necessarily about the seeds, but it's about the roots, what they're going to be differentiating, asking you to differentiate between the roots of a certain plants and a root. How do they differ? How do they communicate? How do they survive? How do they, what's the differentiation between the roots of certain plants? But we're gonna go through that. So you also need to look for that. So they could also be a question where they're gonna be asking you about the seeds, their protective covering. How do they did they permit for the successful of their condition so that they don't just end up as a seed, but they continue to grow. And seeds, or and pollen grains rather, they are hard covering around the male gametophyte, light enough to travel through air to carry the sperm. So the most important factor here for the pollen is the air. So whatever the your answer will be when you're questioning, when you're answering it, you're gonna have to indicate that the main important factor for transferring the sperm to the egg is that they light in they carry it through the light to travel through the air to carry it, the sperm to the egg. So and the gametophytes now, so now they are so small that they stay inside the larger sporophyte organism, so that when this sperm is carried to the egg, it will be able to be successful.
Mr.
Then
Melufule, my sincerest apologies. Are you still sharing the screen?
you what?
Are you still sharing
Yeah,
the
I'm still.
presentation?
Yeah, no,
It,
you cannot view it.
I'm not sure. Students, are you able to see it? It might just be my network.
We're able to see.
Oh,
Okay,
okay, good, good.
awesome.
Oh,
No,
good. I
that's fine.
was, oh, my
Sorry
heart
about that,
almost
Jen.
fell down because I thought maybe I.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
So here, as we continue about the gymnosperms, that you, I'm sure most of you have seen this once. Let me bring back my pointer. Here we go. Where you think of pine, for example, and the female ovary and the male ovary, that's how you can be able to be able to differentiate between these two. And then there's a pollen strategy. I think most of us, we know about this. We where that a bee play a part role where it release a lot and hopes to that they could pollinate, that there's pollination. There was also a study where some group of people, which I was part of, I think in 2018, or we're checking if what they call this, fruit bats. There are bats, not bird. I know the young kids will have a better pronunciation than myself, but bird, the one that they occur in the evening. So they're categorized into insectivorous bats, the ones they are named after according to how they feed. So the insectivorous feeds on insects. The fruit bats, they feed on fruit. So that's why if you've got like a plant at home, like a guava tree or some, my English is running out now. There's this, what's this fruit that all of us have most at home? Yeah, and sometimes in the morning you'll find that it has been eaten and you don't know what it does. It's the fruit bats, they eat the trees in the evening. So there was a study. It was not a fancy study, but it was just They use the term, I forgot the term that they use, to check if fruit bats pollinate on the flowers of this tree, baobab tree, of the baobab tree. So the baobab tree, if you check it, sometimes if you have been to, where is it? But it's predominantly in the north. If you been to the north of Musina, Limpopo, the northern of Musina, and some parts of Kruger Park, and some part of Mpumalanga, I think they do have most of the baobab, although they are not much predominantly distributed there than they are in the north. So they wanted to check if the sequence that the bee has here on the flowers have also on the on the on the on the flowers of baobab. But the long and short of it was that although it didn't they didn't have enough data, was that the bird did not pollinate on the baobab flower. So the as we continue here is that the sperm will still swims when pollen grains. Here is the thing, the pollen grain, the stigma, the tube, the pollen tube, the carpel, and then the ovule. So they might want you to describe the labeling of this structure, or they just want you to draw and label it, and then you're gonna have. So these are the main, like uh, main distinctive features that if you have, like let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, the examiner could say describe the sperm, how they swing, and how the pollen grains line on other plants, and then with the describe the label structure, 8 marks. So the labelings can have two marks each, 8 or 10 for 10 marks. The structure itself have 2 marks. So the most important part is that you need to clear, make sure that you familiarize yourself with the structure and you are able to label them. So because when the pollen grains land on another plant of the same species, the reproduction isolation of pollen might receive the correct signal to grow to the pollen tube, and they must grow they must grow through the pollen tube in a correct manner, following all of them. So the full colonization of land by plants, I'm sure you know the word colonization, it's explain itself through vascular tissue and through reproduction through air. And that's how they maneuver, or that's how they move through their modus operandi. And angiosperm, they say, think of flowers, the most diverse plant groups. Apparently they're the most one. You need to think of that, and their direct reproduction is attracting pollinators with the flower, and they're colorful attractors, also their scent and the taste of the nectar inside that pollen which is being taken. And the lower the pollen production, the less the cost that will happen as it is going. So they also do that with the means of flower and in the means of scent, which serve as a signal strength in more particular, more likely to the pollens in the. So there will be double fertilization, which is particularly unique to angiosperms, where you will find the process of pollen grain, where there will be sperm 1, sperm 2, and then there will be a pollen nuclei and the egg, but which will produce on that side, which will produce the embryo, and the one will produce the endosperm. But I don't think this diagram you need to worry more about. But what you just need to focus on is that the double fertilization is unique to angiosperm. So I think I'm gonna end up here, but you don't need to worry more. The next session, we come prepared with some exercises that you're doing, where you are challenged, where you are going through some difficulties, and see if we won't be able to assist. And I will also in the next session go through the animal diversity, because here the last slide was plant diversity, and we'll start with your notes that are in the tutorial letter. There are some notes there that we're gonna go through, and some exercises which are carried out by some exercises. There are also some of your assignment which are there. Don't know if the exam the submission data are already there or you have already, but I'm hoping that most of you would have been.
Good day, sir. I just wanted to clarify something.
Sure.
The link to the this session and the session before this, BLG 1501, I got from the Telegram group. So I wanted to ask, are these sessions for a specific group site, or is it for all BLG 1501 students? Because I
Okay.
also tried accessing the BLG 1501 recording, but I can't access it.
Students, kindly put your student number into the chat box so that you can receive the email of the presentation. Um, and then there's a question also. I see, is it Tato?
Yeah, did you hear a question? She I think the time she was talking you were cut off, but it's about that she's trying to access the recording from BLG 1501. She
Mm,
couldn't access it, but I'm understanding that you are saying they are not they are released at a later stage. Is my
yes, yes,
understanding correct?
yes, that is correct. They go through an editing process. They basically for revision purposes, so they are only accessible at a later date.
So can I just ask one more thing? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Regarding the communication for these sessions, is the communication and the links sent to the My Life email address? Because I didn't receive anything. I only got the links from the Telegram groups to join the sessions.
Yes, it is to the My Life account. Um, are you registered with My Life? Have you activated your My Life account? So
Yes, ma'am,
just
I have.
you have activated it. It should have that would obviously be some kind of a system glitch, but it should have come to you. I'm just thinking now. If you go to your if you go online, have you not received anything on BLG? No adverts, nothing.
No, ma'am, it's just these two sessions, the BLG 1501 that was prior to this one, and this one, BLG 1502, in which I did not receive any communication regarding
Sure.
these sessions and the
Ah,
links as well.
but you did receive an advert on your My Life?
No, ma'am, I did
You
not.
haven't received anything. Please,
No.
can you just put in the chat box that you're not getting the My Life invitation and put your student number so that I can remember that it's you and then add you to the distribution list. And my apologies. Yes, it should go to you if your My Life is activated. I just want to have a look here quickly. If I click on your student number, yeah, it shows your My Life account, so you are correct. Um, it should have gone to you, but nevertheless, my apologies. If you can just note it for me in the chat box, and then I will add you to the distribution list.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am.
It's a pleasure.